And you can see the lady putting a strip on her tongue. And what happens when you take one of these quantum nutritional strips from NRG Wave, it absolutely absorbs in about 10 to 11 seconds in the mucosal area of your mouth. It dissolves right into the bloodstream. It does not go into your stomach, not into your gut, that passes through into the liver and the kidneys, but you get that very measurable dosage and a consistent results. This is what we call advanced nutrient delivery. And the first product that I want to introduce you to tonight, you may not know how important this is, but tonight I hope to be able to at least open your mind to the thought process of nitric oxide and why we call it the molecule of life. Better blood flow, what happens when that occurs? More energy and stamina, faster recovery, cardiovascular support, and sharper cognition. My wife and I were watching a podcast, and when I saw the information that this medical doctor was sharing on this podcast, so let's tune in to Dr. Nathan Ryan.
The future of medicine and healthcare around the globe is going to be dependent upon this.
Dr. Nathan Bryan is the biochemist whose cutting-edge research suggests
how one crucial molecule can impact our health, brain function, and longevity.
That molecule is nitric oxide.
Nitric oxide is a signaling molecule in the human body, which regulates things like blood flow and oxygen delivery. And the loss of nitric oxide production is the earliest event in the onset and progression of age-related chronic disease. So things like erectile dysfunction, diabetes, Alzheimer's, high blood pressure, which is the #1 driver of cardiovascular disease, which is the #1 killer of men and women worldwide. And 50% of the patients that are treated with prescription medication don't respond with better blood pressure because they aren't targeted toward nitric oxide. But most people have never heard of this. They don't know that if you can't walk up a flight of steps or exercise moderately for 15-20 minutes, then you're nitric oxide deficient. They don't know that most toothpaste and mouthwash is killing the oral microbiome that's partly responsible for production of nitric oxide, but no one is interested in curing human disease because medicine is a business. So what we're finding is that the older we get, the less nitric oxide we naturally produced. And now today, that's recognized as the earliest event in the onset and progression of age-related chronic disease. So my mission is to inform and educate the global population on how important, number one, what nitric oxide is, how it's produced in the human body, what goes wrong in people that can't make it, and then perhaps most importantly, how do we prevent that age-related decline in nitric oxide production so everybody can be empowered to take control of their own health and prevent age-related disease. And that's what the science tells us, but as you illustrated, most people have never heard of this.
I mean, this graph, which I'll put on the screen for anyone watching, kind of illustrates what you're talking about. And quite notably, this decline seems to start when you're 30 years old, which is how old I am right now. So,
well, you know, that's if you look at population-based studies at different age groups, we see about a 10 to 12% decline in what we call endothelial function per decade. So that means, nitric oxide is a gas. It's produced in the endothelium. So the endothelium is the single layer of cells that line every blood vessel throughout the body. So the function of these endothelial cells is to regulate vascular tone and to regulate, solute exchange and extravasation or transport of molecules across that endothelial layer. And so when your endothelial cells can no longer make nitric oxide gas, they no longer dilate. So the blood vessels become constricted. You start to get inflammation, you get stiff arteries, plaque deposition, and that's what starts cardiovascular disease or atherosclerosis. Nitric oxide is a hormone that we first discovered. Nitric oxide is a hormone back in 2007. But to understand aging, you have to understand what leads to aging. So aging, from my perspective, is the inability to repair and replace dysfunctional cells. Right? Every day we wear ourselves out, and and if we can repair and replace dysfunctional cells, then we combat or at least prolong the aging process. So what the science tells us in nitric oxide is that loss of nitric oxide production is the earliest event in the onset and progression of age-related chronic disease. So nitric oxide is the foundational longevity molecule because nitric oxide is the signal in the body that tells our stem cells to mobilize and differentiate. Mm-hmm. Without nitric oxide, you have less number of circulating stem cells. Nitric oxide activates the enzyme telomerase, which prevents telomere shortening. Without nitric oxide, you don't get activation of telomerase, telomeres shorten. And then nitric oxide is the signal in the cell that tells the cell, I need more mitochondria, and I need these mitochondria to be more efficient, generate more cellular energy with less oxygen. So when you restore nitric oxide, you address all three aspects of longevity. And there's no other molecule in the body that does that.
This whole process of manufacturing nitric oxide in our body, we know that all cardiovascular disease, and I focus on that first word, all, because we have to understand the number one killer of all people on the planet is cardiovascular disease. And all cardiovascular disease is associated with nitric oxide loss. So he talked about erectile dysfunction. He talked about diabetes, high blood pressure, all these events. It's because we are low on nitric oxide. It's indispensable for our cardiovascular health. And of course, he also shares how we can stop the aging or slow the aging process down by getting more nitric oxide into our system. But as he stated, and you can see at the age of about 23, our level is perfect when we're about 23. And after the age of 23, it declines naturally. The red line is women, the blue line is men. So you can see this is not just a male problem or a female problem. It's both of us. And by the age of 40, our bodies have lost 50% of the nitric oxide production we had when we were in late teens and early 20s. And if you're age 65 or more, your body has lost more than 85% of the nitric oxide production it needs to prevent aging and disease. And so this is extremely powerful. What NRG Wave has put together is a very simplistic way for you to be able to raise the nitric oxide levels in your body by using a quantum nutritional strip. This wasn't available 20 years ago or 15 years ago, 10 years ago. This is something available now where they've been able to reduce the size of the molecule down into the size of a water molecule, so you get that direct absorption into the bloodstream, no digestive interference, faster, stronger, better effects, higher bioavailability, and you can feel the results in minutes. This is powerful, and I wanted to share that with you tonight because I think so many of us have friends around us that are dealing with challenges. And right now, it's so easy for us to see that many of these challenges are directly related to low levels of nitric oxide. And you say, well, how do we know? Well, you can buy a simple test kit. We bought one, and these, you can get them at the Walmart or your local grocery store a lot of time. These are nitric oxide test strips. They're salivary strips, and they will tell you what your nitric oxide level is in the body. And then you can use our product. You check your nitric oxide levels, and you see the increase. So it's very powerful. These quantum nutritional strips are proving to be super absorbable. So you take pills and gel caps and all these other things that a lot of people are taking right now. They're not getting the absorption. It's not getting into their system the way it needs to. This is why we're moving off the old model. Think about pills and gel caps. They've been around for decades and decades. Nothing's changed. And now finally we have these quantum nutritional strips here from NRG Wave that are really making a difference. And you can see on that bottom blue line with intraoral absorption of the strips is over 90% absorption rate. So this is powerful. So this is a great way to raise your nitric oxide levels and restore your stem cell and your endothelial action, and also what's going on with your cardiovascular system. So really important information. The second foundational product is what we call our Phyto Maxx. This is based on marine phytoplankton. If you've never heard of phytoplankton before, it's the first food on the planet. These are little wee, like algae kind of single cell beings that are basically they're taking in the sunshine and giving off oxygen, but they're packed with vitamins, minerals, all essential amino acids, omega-3s. It functions as a complete nutrient supplement that supports cellular health, energy, and immunity. And what these Phyto Pro Max strips do is they replace the need for multiple pills. The phytoplankton is such a tiny size that allows for easy absorption, making it highly beneficial for overall health. So this is our new multivitamin now, and I was so excited to get this and get away from many times synthetic vitamins or vitamins put into capsules. This is a powerful way to get that. And just so you're aware of what's in the phytoplankton, it's rich in omega-3s, as I mentioned, the highest source of EPA and DHA in a vegetarian, vitamins and minerals packed with essential nutrients like magnesium, iron, zinc, calcium, potassium, phosphorus, got antioxidant power like chlorophyll, vitamin C, immune support, okay, is important for us, skin health, and cellular function. So you put these two products together, the Phyto and the Nitro, it really is all about synergy. So what we're dealing with when we talk about phytoplankton is the planet's greatest, most powerful multivitamin. It carries the mother load of nutrients that our bodies need to survive and thrive. Two simple products that are efficient and powerful, utilizing this quantum strip technology, which is precision engineered using quantum infusion technology, ensuring that over 90% of each ingredient is absorbed, giving your body more of what it needs when it needs it.